favorite thing about the church has to be the people. All the people that contribute in every way, big and small.
I enjoy being able to come to church week after week, year after year, and even though I'm having the same experience on one level in terms of the ritual, to hear something new and get an aha, and just to make a connection, that just feels deep, deeply true for me.
Everything that has happened in my life has been in this little church.
The more I spoke with people and listened and became engaged, the more that became part of the reason for staying and wanting to become more involved.
This place was first conceived of, as I understand from the history, in the year 1845, when a group of the English-speaking inhabitants of what is now Western St. Tammany Parish decided that they needed a place for Anglican worship. This resulted in the construction of the building in which we're now sitting in 1846, 175 years ago. From the very beginning, as one of the cornerstone institutions in not only the city of Covington, but Western St. Tammany Parish, we have managed to maintain a position of what I'll call leadership in promoting projects for the better good.
I was rector of Christ Church from September of 1976 to January of 1996. Western St. Tammany Parish was growing, and in a sense the church was not. When I arrived at the church, there was a shell parking lot and a part-time secretary who sat in the office and she mainly had a chance to read novels. So when I arrived, I obviously saw a lot of opportunity and thought that the way to get the church sort of robust and vital was to get people there. We started initiating new ministries that would do that, such as the Third Sunday Concert Series, which is now, 30 years old, or whatever, 35 years old or something. And we had people in the congregation who really saw possibilities and really cared for the community.
Okay, I believe that the more significant among the outreach efforts which this church over time has engaged in have been, in my mind, number one is what we call SEEP, which is an acronym for Christ Episcopal Enrichment Program, which is a summer Head Start sort of program, not for preschoolers, but for people in the middle school range to enrich and prepare them for the next school year, as well as there being, of course, a spiritual aspect to it.
All of a sudden, I showed up. I call them the mamas of the school. These 5 ladies in the church really showed up in my office and said, we need an Episcopal school over here because our kids are having to go to St. Martin's School and So the mamas of the school really were the lifeblood, really, of getting the school started, and so we plunged in. The original church school building has been a very flexible building, a building attached to the chapel. The walls have moved around in that building in a lot of different ways, and that building was built in the mid-50s or so. But so we put the school there.
We moved here in 1985, and our son went there, and he was one of 25 students with 4 teachers in this building across the street.
We wanted a smaller school setting, and we felt that they knew some people from church, and also, I mean, we just felt that we liked that the school was going to reinforce what they've heard here in church, and that's exactly what they've gotten. They love godly play, and they love, being able to talk about God at school. It's been a great experience for them.
So we went from 25 students and 4 teachers to what is now a pre-K through 12 institution on 2 campuses serving 610 students, and I cannot begin to number the faculty and staff that are involved with that.
I got interested in death and dying. That was one of the things, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I did some individual study. And so I came back from Washington at the National Cathedral, where I studied, and with an idea that we're going to try to help people die as well as they can. And we started this course, which went over several years, different sessions of it, called On Death and Dying.
Winifred and I went to a meeting. It was Death and Dying is what the title of it. And he had people come in that were doing all kinds of work in the community, doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, whatever. We both, after we had finished with that get-together for that period of time, we were convinced that we wanted to be cremated. I suggested and talked with Steve about it, and I said, what do you think? And he was all for it, making the memorial garden.
Ralph Manatry did a lot of the exploration and checked with state laws and whatnot to see what was required.
We started walking around the yard and trying to decide where we were going to do this. And I finally told him, I said, well, Steve, I said, I hate to be the one to decide on things like that. I said, but this would be a good place. I said, everything I've ever done in my life has been in this little church. At that time, it was pretty much, that was when I was up about 60 or 70. I said, everything so far has been here, and I want the rest of it to be here.
That garden has really served the community and church really, really well. I mean, it's really something. And the person who, I think the church will always be indebted for getting it off the ground and really maintained is Ralph Menetry. A residential community for the elderly has a component of death and dying to it. So it's kind of tied into that. We looked around, saw that people who had moved over here after the second span of the causeway were now beginning to age, and they were trying to figure out what they were going to do in their retirement years and whatnot. So we had a group of people who were interested in exploring it, and we did. And so we began to get some energy behind it. We were able to raise, through pledges over a 3-year period, almost $1 million. So that, and the church, the vestry, mortgaged the church for $100,000 to add to the pot, taking that risk. Christ Church had enough, I guess, brand awareness in the community that people, it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for Christ Churches being around for 100 years or whatever it was at the time.
Everybody knows Steve Holzad, and he was the guiding light in founding Christwood. And he gives a lot of credit to all the other people who helped. And it's something like that is never a one-man show. You have to have a number of people involved who are really committed. You have to have ties to financial resources. And he just seemed to have the right fit at the right time. And I really believe that timing is everything. And it was the right time for him and the right time to start Christwood.
The first residents moved in May of 1996. And we started off with 118 independent living apartments, 20 skilled nursing beds, and 30 assisted living beds. So we started off with a whole continuum of care. We got good occupancy relatively early on, and it stayed consistently high.
I'm the chaplain at Christwood. I'm responsible for the pastoral care of the residents out there. And when they first moved there, a couple by the name of Bill and Erin Garrity recognized a need for a worship service there for people who could not get up to Covington, to worship. And so they were instrumental in instituting what has become the regular Tuesday morning celebration of the Holy Eucharist at Christwood. That has become the principal worship service for upwards of 30 people at Christwood a week. That is essentially their Sunday service.
Christwood is now 25 years old. So we've done a lot of looking at where we are and planning for the next 25 years. And that's an ongoing process. But I'm happy to see that people at Christ Church are thinking about the next 25 or 50 years, where we're going.
Well, I think right now we're in this period of transition as one rector has left and as we're waiting for a new. And I think this is now the time. We have a tremendous opportunity now to really reflect and to look at what is it that this church is about? Who do we want to be?
We need to maintain our outreach into the wider community, our support of the North Shore Food Bank, for instance, which is vitally important.
We absolutely need someone who can come in here and speak multi-generationally to all aspects of our community and to help us grow in both in numbers as well as in outreach opportunities, so that we're not just coming here to hear, but we're coming here to learn so that we can go out into the community and grow with other people of other faiths and other denominations.
We love the church and we love the school. It'd be great to be able to pull some people from the school to the church. And we think that the church is a great place for young families, and we'd love to see that area grow.
I love being in our church on Sunday and reciting together the Nicene Creed or praying together the Lord's Prayer and just listening to all our voices together, sending them up, and that's very meaningful to me. I love that.